WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right, again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
Caitlin Clark being traded is actually being talked about now. Just as Indiana fans were calming down, Colin Cowherd came in and added fuel to the rumors. He always shares strong opinions, and this one could start a big fight among basketball fans. Is he being dramatic? Definitely. But is he completely wrong? That's where the real debate begins.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
Once again, the WNBA seems to be finding new ways to hurt itself. Instead of focusing on building stronger teams or attracting more fans, it's now entertaining wild ideas. The latest? Trading Caitlin Clark like she's just a card to swap. They're calling it strategy, but in reality, it would set the whole league on fire, not just Indiana. It would turn into another huge mess and clear proof of poor management.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of her.
Let's be real, if Caitlin Clark gets traded, it won't just hurt the Fever, it will damage the whole league's biggest moneymaker. This isn't simply about losing a player, it's about losing the story that keeps people watching. Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's carrying a franchise and, honestly, half the WNBA on her back. Every ticket sold, every jersey bought, every headline written has her name tied to it.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, $230.
Now picture taking all that momentum and just shipping it away. That's the kind of decision that makes fans slam their remotes, cancel their tickets, and watch another sport out of frustration. There's regular bad decisions, and then there's historically stupid ones, and this would definitely be the latter.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing.
But it gets even worse. The league is talking trade rumors like there are plenty of stars to risk, and on top of that, they've added a coaching twist straight out of a soap opera. The same coach who once stood by while Clark got poked in the eye is now suddenly hired as her boss. Really? What's next? Making the trainer who iced her ankles head of conditioning? This isn't about coaching, it's a setup. A carefully staged performance dressed up as strategy, with one clear goal: silence the star, dim the spotlight, and pretend it's for the team. But fans aren't blind. Clark wasn't just benched, she was politically pushed aside. The front office didn't just pick a coach, they picked that coach, the one known for selective discipline and shady rotations. And let's be honest, Clark and this coach don't mix at all. Their basketball chemistry isn't oil and water, it's oil and a dumpster fire. The system isn't built for her, it's built against her. This isn't just a style clash. It's a cold war in sneakers, and you can see it every time she gets pulled from the game while some random bench player racks up minutes like it's charity.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was.
So why would the league, after finally getting people to watch, start pulling something like this? One word: control. Control the story, control the star, and keep fans entertained but never too powerful. The last thing they want is a player with real leverage, that's risky, that's disruptive, and that's someone you can't bench. So, when you can't slow down the momentum, you hire someone who can. Dress it up as player development, when really all that's developing is a bad reputation and a fan base keeping receipts. This coach wasn't just hired, she was placed. And if it feels like a conspiracy, that's because it practically is. Don't let anyone tell you this is a normal rebuild or just rookie growth. Clark isn't developing. She's in timeout, like a kid who colored outside the lines. Make no mistake, this isn't about basketball. It's personal, it's strategic, and it's political. And here's the worst part: people are acting like the coach is just being careful. But careful would mean using your best scorer, not tying down her talent and hoping fans look the other way.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly, like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too. That's the fun.
This isn't strategy, it's sabotage with a whistle. Everyone can see it. The fans, the broadcasters, people on Twitter, even the popcorn guy in row 5. And the rest of the league. They'd love to see Clark traded like a sacrifice. Imagine the ticket boom if she landed somewhere that actually valued her. In Vegas, they'd build her a statue by the weekend. In New York, she'd be lighting up Times Square before her first practice. But in Indiana, under this system, it's like storing fireworks in a freezer. Nothing's going to blow up, and everyone's left disappointed. Yet somehow, people are saying trading her would help the team. Help who? The draft odds? The backup point guard's ego? The merch team that still can't keep up with Clark jersey orders? Without her, Indiana isn't rebuilding, they're disappearing. Clark is the reason WNBA highlights are even on national TV. She's why random middle-aged guys suddenly think they're experts on pick-and-roll defense. You don't trade that. You guard it like it's treasure.
We all know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that the WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that? We're going to have to go.
If you really wanted to crush Caitlin Clark's momentum, benching her would be step 1. Hiring her basketball rival as coach? That's the cherry on top of the sabotage cake. All you need is some polished press conferences and buzzwords like versatility and system fit to make it look professional while the real damage happens behind the scenes. Honestly, it almost feels too calculated, like someone in a suit decided, let's hire the only person who could possibly make Caitlin Clark look replaceable. And that's the mission: kill the hype, bring back the old hierarchy, and treat a few lost games as nothing more than collateral damage. This isn't about patience or rookie mistakes, it's about power. Power the league doesn't want resting in one player. Power the front office doesn't want walking into press rooms and stealing headlines. Power that threatens the status quo every time Clark makes a flashy pass or hits a step-back three. The league could have embraced it, could have built around it, but instead they built a wall and stuck a smiling guard in front to pretend nothing was there. Trading her wouldn't just be a mistake, it would be a loud middle finger to progress, to fans, and to the future of the WNBA. And the truth is, people wouldn't just stop watching, they'd walk away. Because watching greatness get mishandled like a discount item isn't entertainment.
So it's the last part of it, the players vote, that I take some exception to. And I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. Like, I don't care either way. But they vote her 9. And why I find that absolutely hilarious is you can say she's 9 if you want, but you don't treat her like she's 9. Because when she was here in town, they were picking her up 3/4 court the entire game, and they had her double teamed the entire game. Now, is your shooting efficiency going to go?
So go ahead, keep benching her. Keep covering it up with empty coach talk and recycled lines about team development. But don't be surprised when fans stop showing up, ratings drop, and the star you tried to silence walks out the front door, taking her entire fan base with her. And when that day comes, don't blame the fans. Don't blame the media. Don't even blame Caitlin Clark. Look at the front office, the coach with an agenda, and the league that allowed it all, and say, congrats, you did this to yourselves. And just when you thought they couldn't make it more obvious, the league shines the brightest spotlight on Clark with the subtlety of a bulldozer in a glass shop. At this point, it isn't conspiracy, it's choreography. The commissioner, the coach, and every suit in the building look like they're part of the same stage play: how to humble a star player in 10 games or less. All Clark wanted was to play basketball, sign some autographs, and bring respect back to Indiana. Instead, she's been dropped into a giant sabotage scheme disguised as culture building. You can almost hear theme music every time she's subbed out for a role player averaging 2 points and a nosebleed. Her only crime? Being too good, too fast, and too popular. That's it. That's the offense. She walked into the league with the audacity to be beloved nationwide. And now the powers that be are acting like she showed up swinging a bat instead of draining jump shots.
Caitlin Clark was number 1 among fans, number 3 among media. What do you think she was among players?
Dead last.
It's not last.
No, not last, no. But
barely made it to the top 10. So she was 1, 3, and 9. Dick Vitale went off on a whole rant. It is pure jealousy. Someday these players will realize what she has done for them. They now have chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings. Stop being jealous haters on.
This isn't basketball anymore, it's punishment with a scoreboard. And it's not like Caitlin Clark is causing trouble. She's not throwing tantrums, posting cryptic tweets, or skipping practice. She's just a tall, wholesome, jump-shooting Midwestern star trying to survive in a league that treats being likable like it's a problem. Meanwhile, the WNBA looks less like a sports league and more like a corporate Game of Thrones, all smiles in public, knives out behind the scenes. Let's be honest, the coach didn't just land this job. This is the same coach who once showed less sympathy for Clark than a DMV worker on their lunch break, now suddenly promoted to mentor her. Please. That's like hiring a cat to babysit a hamster. Everyone knows how that ends. And while the press conferences are filled with talk about team first and building identity, the real identity being built is a quiet vendetta against Clark's spotlight. They don't want her leading. They want her watered down, standing in the background holding the Gatorade while someone else pretends to take charge. The culture they're pushing isn't about chemistry, it's about control. It's about shrinking Clark's presence just enough so the league doesn't look like it revolves around one player, even though, let's be real, it absolutely does.
Now let's look at the viewership, right? So I'm looking at here. So before the WNBA, before Caitlin arrived, the WNBA averaged around 300,000 to 400,000 viewers per game on national television, right? 300,000 to 400,000 viewership, right? The 2023 season, they said they saw an average of 367,000 viewers, right? When Caitlin Clark came, with her presence, viewership has increased, with some games drawing over 1 million viewers, right? Caitlin Clark's WNBA draft for her drew 2.45 million viewers. That's crazy. So that means these people and what she did in college and bringing them all to the WNBA scale, people are watching the WNBA because of Caitlin.
The league doesn't want Caitlin Clark's individual brilliance driving the story. They want to share the spotlight setup where no one star shines brighter than the brand. It's like the Soviet Union, but in sneakers. Clark is treated like a guest in her own league, great for marketing, but once the cameras stop rolling, she's shoved into the penalty box for daring to outshine the system, and the commissioner? Don't think she's clueless. She's courtside with popcorn, nodding along, pretending not to notice Clark getting benched in crunch time. It's all part of the plan, a PR detox meant to remind everyone that no player is bigger than the league, unless they fit the image the league wants. Clearly, Clark doesn't, because the truth is, Clark doesn't play the approved way. She's not gritty in the league's scripted version of grit. She's not edgy in the polished, brochure-ready feminist way. She's a wholesome assassin from Iowa, and that doesn't match the curated chaos they're trying to sell. So now, the mission is simple: sand her down, piece by piece, until she either bends to the system or burns out fighting it.
There's a lot of hate on Caitlin Clark, and I think because she's white, because she's a hooper and she's going out there and bust people's ass every single night, and it's this little pretty petite country girl that you're not expecting. Again, she's not super athletic, she's not super big, but boy, can she shoot that ball, and she is must-watch TV. I think when she was hurt a few weeks ago, they said viewership dropped by 52%. You know what I mean? And
I didn't watch. I quit watching the teams.
What we're seeing isn't a culture shift, it's a character takedown with good lighting. A slow, deliberate effort to shrink Clark's presence. The new playbook is clear: no more glorifying individual greatness, no more letting one rookie carry ratings, no more building an empire around viral threes and jersey sales. Now it's about team unity and shared narratives. Translation: strip the star down until she either fits the mold or at least stops threatening to break it. And the fans? They see it plain as day. You can hear it in the boos, read it in the tweets, and spot it in the side-eye shots during games. Clark is the reason people who hadn't watched the WNBA in years suddenly know Indiana's schedule. She's the walking stimulus check of the entire league. And instead of cashing in, they're trying to erase her before she even finishes Act 1. Now we've got this league-approved campaign of polite hostility. She's technically on the court, but barely featured. She gets praised in interviews, but benched in blowouts. They talk about her impact, but won't build around her. It's like giving a standing ovation with your arms crossed. Meanwhile, the league keeps tossing out buzzwords like growth, equity, and system development. All that corporate yoga talk sounds deep, but it means nothing when your best player is sitting on the bench while her team gets blown out. It's a PR smokescreen so thick you'd need NASA to see through it.
We talk about hatred, when we talk about jealousy, when we talk about pettiness, Caitlin Clark's name always pops up because that's what she receives on a daily basis. And for the players to vote her 9th in guards just lets you know how out of touch they are. And it's not because of her game, it's simply because of those 3 things that I mentioned. She was ranked 1st by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by the...
And here's the worst part: they actually think they're fooling us. They expect fans to nod along to talk about balance and process, all while watching a once-in-a-generation talent get babysat by a coach with a personal agenda. But spoiler alert, nobody's buying it. This isn't balance, it's bad theater with a scoreboard. At some point, Clark will have to choose: stay stuck in the Hunger Games, or push for a trade to a team that actually wants to win games instead of political battles. Because whether the league admits it or not, Its entire relevance is tied to her. Everything orbits around Clark, even as they pretend she's just another player. But here's the truth, take her out of the picture and you don't just lose a player, you lose the gravity holding the whole thing together. And if Clark finally says enough, she won't be the villain. She'll be the escape artist. Everyone else will be the ones left behind.